Chapter 7. Learning to Love, Jack, a woman says, her hand touching the glass of the deprivation tank. Please forgive me for what I put you through. The young Asian woman sits on her legs, sobbing uncontrollably. You tried to warn me. I was too arrogant and naive to listen. I thought that vial contained my love, my beloved Cade. It was a demon spirit all along, manipulating me. It almost cost us our lives. Tears stream down her cheeks. I'm so sorry, she says, staring into the tank, Jack breathing softly as she looks at the monitor for any brain activity. No changes. Kira sits on the ground, her tears becoming mellow and fading as she listens to the humming of the computers. I will not leave your side, Kira says. She lays her head on the ground, stretching out her body and placing Cade's katana by her side. No one will ever get the chance to harm you again. You have my word. Kira fell asleep, but she was awoken by a loud hissing noise and the sound of a woman's voice. Hello, Grace. Did you finish it? Another voice asked. I did, the woman's voice said. Lying there on the floor, Kira began to relax, trying to compose herself. She looked around. Jack was still safe. She glanced at the monitor. His vitals were normal. Kira heard giggling. Learning to Love, she heard. By Amanda Panda. A little voice began to giggle again. I still don't know what a pando is, the woman began to read. Kira thought it was very late to be reading a story, but the little girl seemed so excited. Exhausted, Kira tried to fall back asleep. All she could hear was the computer humming and the story being told. She began to listen more intently. Tonight's chapters seemed exciting. Grace kept interrupting, asking, What's this? What's that? What's a theme park? The woman reading never got upset or angry at Grace for interrupting. She described everything the best she could. Grace wasn't born on Earth, so she had no idea what any of these things were. Who could blame her for being excited? Kira saw the little girl lying on the bed. Earlier, when she came in, Grace had been asleep, holding onto a stuffed elephant for dear life. She seemed to be dreaming. When Kira walked in, she could smell alcohol but thought nothing of it. Someone had been there before her. Maybe a nurse or doctor checking on Jack's vitals. She saw a chair placed in an awkward position. Someone was here before me, she concluded. Now she was wide awake, listening to a story called Learning to Love. She began to cry again, thinking about Cade. They would go on little adventures together, and the story being read to Grace reminded her of him. They never had much money. They were barely getting by most months in Japan, but somehow, they made it work. One day, Cade woke her up. My love, he said. Kira was so tired from working as a housekeeper, she didn't get in until late that night. Cade worked at a casino, doing almost everything there, so their work schedules were always hectic. Cade began rubbing her back. Come on, wake up, he said again. I have a surprise for you. Cade had been pulling extra shifts at the casino for a while now, and today was a big day. It was Kira's birthday. Oh, 5 more minutes, Kira mumbled. Okay, 5 more minutes, Cade replied. But then you have to get up. Otherwise, we're going to be late for the train and breakfast. Kira finally registered what he just said. Train? Breakfast? What was Cade up to? She rolled over and asked, What are you talking about? Kira was staring directly at Cade, who was lying on his side, smiling. His short black hair was a mess. Happy birthday, my love, he said softly, kissing her on the forehead. Kira forgot it was her birthday. They had both been working so much that it felt like just another day. She rolled over and let out a sigh. It is, isn't it? She said. Cade looked at her and smiled. He gave her a playful push. Let's go, my love. We need to get going. We have to make the train. Why are we taking a train? Kira asked. Cade replied, It's a surprise. Come on, get up. We're going to be late. An hour later, they were out of their apartment and at the train station. Kira was so exhausted, but she was trying not to let Cade know. He could tell, but the surprise he had planned, something he had worked so hard for, would all pay off. He was trying not to give away his excitement. When the train arrived, they boarded and took their seats. They wouldn't get to their destination for another hour and a half. Cade told Kira, Why don't you take a nap? You're going to need your energy. Kira shook her head, but once the train began moving, she immediately laid her head on Cade's shoulder and fell asleep. About an hour and a half later, Kira woke up. "My love," Cade said, rubbing her head, "it's time to wake up. We have just a little further to go." Kira picked her head up off Cade's shoulder. She knew this place well. She had seen it in commercials, magazines, and billboards. What were they doing here? She looked at Cade, who stood up and grabbed her hand. "My love, we're going to be late. We have just a little further to go." She looked at Cade, confused. "What are we doing here?" "I told you, my love. It's a surprise. Don't make me ruin it," Cade said, smiling. They arrived only 30 minutes later at a place Kira could only dream of. She looked at Cade, who was beaming with excitement. The only words he could get out before Kira broke down into tears were, "Happy birthday, my love." They were at Luna Park, a high-tech theme park featuring amazing rides, food, shows, you name it. Kira had always dreamed of coming here. She would tell Cade about it all the time. She imagined the food, the delicious food. She looked at Cade, asking, "How could we even afford this?" Cade just grabbed her hand, and they went inside. It was everything she had imagined. Everything was so colorful. The smells, the sounds, the rides, and the food. It was everything she could have dreamed of. She was so caught up in it all that she didn't notice Cade heading toward the fountain. He waved her over. "Isn't it beautiful?" he said to Kira. She didn't say anything. She was overwhelmed. She didn't notice Cade getting down on one knee. "Oh my stars, is this happening?" Kira thought to herself. Cade said the magic words, "Kira, my love, I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not everything you deserve. Will you be my wife?" Kira heard the words clearly. She understood them and took them to heart. No one's perfect. Even the greatest books, pictures, and sculptures have flaws, but we learn to love and appreciate them over time. They become priceless to some. She looked at Cade and replied, "Yes." Kira pulled back to reality. The story was over, and Grace was asleep. She could hear footsteps coming toward her, so she hid behind one of the tables. The doors hissed open, and she tried to be quiet. She could see who it was. It was the raven they had met before. She was saying something to Jack, touching the glass of the deprivation tank, something about love. The minute she mentioned the word love, the computers began to beep, and a bright blue flash started to pulse from the tank. Kira and Amanda gasped. They were both taken aback by what they had just witnessed. Amanda noticed Kira, and they locked eyes. "Did you see that?" Amanda asked. Kira could only nod. Amanda began to walk toward her. "How long have you been here?" Kira tried to speak, but she was still shocked by what she had just seen. Amanda grabbed her hands and pulled her to her feet. Kira finally spoke. "Did you mean those words?" "What words?" Amanda replied. "Did you mean those words?" Kira asked again. Amanda, thinking about what she had just said to Jack, took a moment, but, without hesitation, replied, "Yes, I meant everything, every word of it." Kira stared at Jack's tank. It now had a light blue and purple hue. Was the saying true, that the heart knows? She thought. Amanda, looking at Kira, asked, "How long have you been here?" "After a couple of hours, nobody was here," Kira replied. "You were reading a story to the little girl." Amanda felt a little embarrassed. "Nobody's ever heard me read out loud before. I wanted to make tonight's chapter something special to bring her comfort. She has surgery coming up tomorrow morning." "I don't know what just happened, but I think we're both tired," Amanda said. "My cabin is pretty large if you'd like to sleep somewhere comfortable tonight. I promise nothing will happen to Jack. He's being monitored by most everyone on the ship." Kira thought about it for a few minutes. She hadn't slept comfortably since she left Jack. Maybe a comfortable place to sleep was what she needed. She agreed with Amanda. "Yes," Kira said in a soft voice. Kira picked up Cade's katana and began walking out of the med bay, with Amanda right behind her. She stopped and looked at Grace, then walked over to her and said a prayer. She took off a necklace that was wrapped around the katana and put it around Grace's neck. "This will protect you, little one. Dream well." They arrived at Amanda's quarters. It was pretty spacious, as if the SR-1 had been designed with comfort in mind. It wasn't much to look at, but Amanda took pride in it. There were things from home, photos of her family, favorite stuffed animals, and books. Kira was taking it all in. There was a nice, comfy sofa that pulled out to a bed, and that would be her bed tonight. Amanda was busy in the bathroom, taking out her contacts, letting her hair down, and probably using the restroom. When she came out, she told Kira, "Your turn." Kira thought Amanda looked much more attractive with her hair down. She seemed much more relaxed. After finishing up in the bathroom, Amanda set up the pull-out couch for her. Blankets, pillows, the works. Amanda was trying to get comfortable in her bed, holding her stuffed panda, which was missing its eyes. Kira noticed a photo of a dog and stared at it. "Is that your dog?" she asked. Amanda replied, "Her name is Eclipse. She's with my sister and her husband, along with their dogs, while I'm away on this mission." "Do you have any animals?" Amanda asked. Kira replied, "No, Cade and I never had the room in our apartment." Kira was exhausted but couldn't help looking around. She saw sticky notes arranged into a picture of a rose. Amanda was sitting on her bed. "I'm going to try and go to sleep," she said. "I hope the pull-out couch is comfortable." Kira began to rearrange the sticky notes. Amanda thought, "What the hell are you doing? These are in the wrong order," Kira replied. "It's all about perspective. Do you love him?" Kira asked Amanda. This again, Amanda thought. Kira looked at her expectantly. "Do you love him? It's a simple question. Yes or no. Do you even know what love is?" Amanda thought about the question. "Yeah, I think so," she replied. "Do you?" Amanda finally said in a tired voice. "I don't know." "Okay, I don't know. I was tired." "Well," Kira said, finishing rearranging the sticky notes. The photo now looked awkward. It didn't look like a rose. It didn't look like anything, just a scramble of a photo. "Let me give you some perspective," Kira said. "Can you change the lights to ultraviolet?" "Why?" Amanda asked. "Just do it," Kira insisted. Amanda changed the lights to ultraviolet. A moment later, Amanda's perspective changed. Her jaw dropped. The photo she had on her wall was not a rose. It was a portrait of her painted by Jack. Amanda didn't know what to say. Kira read the note aloud. "My dearest Amanda, when you asked me on Omega if I ever truly loved someone, would I fight for them? The answer is yes. Until my dying breath. Love is worth fighting for." Amanda was staring at the photo. "Jack," she said, tears streaming down her cheeks. Kira walked over to her and gave her a hug. "It's all about perspective. Love comes in many forms," Kira said. "How do you know it's true love?" Amanda asked. "Easy," Kira replied. "You will never stop thinking of them. Nothing makes sense without them. The heart knows." "I think it's time to get some sleep," Kira said to Amanda. Kira settled herself on the couch and tucked herself in. Amanda was trying to relax, letting out a deep breath. "I know you took something that belongs to Jack," Kira said. "Like when you took the sticky notes off his desk. You took the book from the table where his armor lay. It's his mom's diary. That book isn't important to him. It's the words in it that he holds near and dear to his heart." "I don't think he'd mind if you read it," Kira said. "How did you know?" Amanda asked. "I noticed everything," Kira replied. "I'm going to sleep. Maybe if you read some of the diary, it might help you sleep. Who knows? It might give you a different perspective." Amanda could not resist the temptation. She dimmed the lights and opened the diary. It was worn out, had seen some battles, and smelled like gunpowder and blood. She opened it up, and surprisingly, everything was legible, no smudges. One page caught her eye. "To my son, Jack Wesley, Jack, I wanted to leave you with some encouragement for your days ahead. Please remember these things when times get tough. Be kind, stay humble, and understand that life is not fair. Remember to love with your heart as well as your mind. I hope you find real love that will last an eternity. Remember to take chances. You never know what the future holds and what lesson you'll learn. Stay true to yourself and honor your promises. May your words match your actions. I love you, Jack. I wish I could see you grow up to be the great man I know you're going to become." Jack's mom wrote him this letter when he was rejected from the military. He was later selected to go into the private sector. Amanda wiped her eyes and closed the diary. This was just one letter. She would read the rest tomorrow. Finally got another chapter done. I'm trying not to make them too long. Hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for reading. Up to this point. I want to shout out to author Amanda Panda. If you check out her book Learning to Love, please do.